I'm Trinidadi, and let's queer up trans rights. Cleveland Clinic agrees to fund detransition care in DOJ settlement over trans youth treatment. The Cleveland Clinic agreed to provide $2 million in detransition care services as part of a settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice over allegations tied to gender-affirming care for minors. The agreement follows a 2025 federal investigation into claims that the hospital system falsely billed insurance providers for what the DOJ described as, quote, sex-rejecting procedures on minors, end quote, including puberty blockers, hormone therapy, surgeries, and voice modification treatments. Under the settlement, the Cleveland Clinic will also pay $308,000 to resolve billing allegations, though the hospital denied wrongdoing. The hospital also agreed not to offer most gender-affirming medical interventions to minors for the next 20 years at facilities across Ohio, Florida, Nevada, Canada, the United Emirates, and the United Kingdom. Some state laws already ban gender-affirming care for minors. The clinic also said that it already provides detransition services and that little will change operationally. A spokesperson confirmed gender-affirming care for adults will continue. The settlement requires the clinic to establish public resources for detransition services, including a dedicated webpage, phone number, and care coordinator within 30 days. Trans advocates criticized the agreement. Dara Adkison, executive director of TransOhio, said, quote, the clinic is jumping to the front of the line to comply not with science and medicine, but with cruelty and anti-trans hate, end quote. So my understanding is in most hospitals, most clinics, they do not provide surgeries to minors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They do provide counseling. And I think in extreme cases, they do the puberty blockers. And they do a few other more invasive procedures, but nothing like sexual reassignment surgeries. So I think that's somewhat of a talking point to try to get into the media to make it seem like it's far worse than it is. I think in most cases, I personally do not agree with any kind of surgical intervention when it comes to minors and transitioning, because I do think that there are risks that a child is not able to consent to and understand when it comes to long-term fertility, libido. Yeah. I remember watching Jazz Jennings on her documentary, and she was one of the first outspoken people about where we knew her story. And then she talked a lot about the things that she wished she didn't do when she was younger. It doesn't mean that she wasn't trans and that there weren't things that could be done. I think ultimately, I'm not a Republican, but the more Republican conservative platform should be that your medical decisions are between you, your doctor, and the parents.
And the parents,
and
yes.
They would only make those extreme puberty blockers or something like that in the most extreme of cases when all of them are in agreement with that and that the government shouldn't be involved. But let me defer to the trans person at the table.
Oh wait. I'm trans. I'm cisgender. What? Okay. As far as what you said in regards to surgery before 18, I'm on board. I'm trans, and I also think that trans youth should wait, because it is a very drastic decision. You have to really think it through.
But they're not doing those surgeries.
No,
that's not happening. So let's not give people like wrong information.
Right.
Because people have this sense that gender affirming care is surgery. Gender affirming care is therapy. Gender affirming care might be the blockers,
and let me just say with the blockers, that hormone testosterone is a MFer. And what I mean by that is once puberty hits, the maleness comes in strong. If you're born male, right? So if you're a transgender female, you're born male, but you feel like a woman or a girl, and knows that puberty hits, it's so hard to reverse it. That's why you notice in our community, trans women aren't always as passable as the trans men.
It takes more time.
Because you're trying to reverse what puberty did when those male hormones hit. And that's really hard. Look at Jazz. She did the blockers. And you see how she just looks like a regular woman, you know, and that had a lot to do with it, those blockers.
Yeah.
Because it didn't allow the maleness to come in strong.
Out. So they kind of try to do that. You're saying like before puberty.
They try to do it a little before puberty hits so that you suppress the maleness. You don't have to deal with as much care.
Yeah.
You know, again,
the secondary puberty characteristics.
Exactly. Because I'll tell you, up to about 13, I was a lot of times mistaken as a girl. Once 13 hit and the male hormone came in strong, then my maleness showed more. Well, so I think that's one of the reasons, and it's not for everyone. I believe that it's a case by case. Yeah. And again, like you said, the parents need to be involved, of course, the doctor, and then the patient. And so, but what happens is I think they try to take something like, oh, we're making these kids transgender.
Yeah.
And that's totally wrong. Listen, I grew up with 2 heterosexual parents. Okay, my sister's heterosexual, and I'm trans.
Yeah,
it's like you can't make someone trans or gay.
No,
you can't make them. You are who you are.
You are who you are.
It's in our hard wiring. It's in our hard wiring.
You know, the Trevor Project tells us every single year that gender-affirming care does, you know, helps kids, queer kids, right, not want to kill themselves.
Yep.
Period. Okay. Speaking to Jazz Jennings' mom, right?
Yeah.
Saying, my daughter came to me at 5 years old, 4 years old, and said, I'm a woman. Right? Yeah. How do you tell your child, right? Okay, you try to go, no, you're not. Let's continue, blah, blah, blah. You're fine. And then you see that evolution. I'm a woman, mom. I'm a girl, mom. I don't want, you know, where the child is fearful of hitting puberty, deathly fearful.
Yeah.
Right? There's been cases where kids have threatened to cut certain body parts off.
Yeah.
That is how much they hate their body that they're in.
Yeah.
Because that's not who they truly are, you know?
I would just like to say that, and I don't want to compare trans to vanity projects, but we're not having this discussion about teens who want a nose job for their sweet 16 or their kinsey or their bar mitzvah. People who feel that maybe their ears are a little too out and want some otoplasty. We're not having that discussion at all. And those kids are also not fully developed. Their nose has not fully come in. You know, you're still...
Growing.
You're growing. You're still growing. So, I mean, honestly, this is a made-up crisis by fascists who want to do not good, but only harm. It is pointless, and you're not saving kids. They're suicides for people who voted for this. The suicides of these kids, their blood is on your hands, whether or not you ever bother to learn their name. You are a murderer.
Oh.
And BTW, less than 1% of people who transition later detransition. Okay, that's not a healthcare crisis, baby. That's a political talking point with an expensive price tag.
It is.
And there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.